Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adrienne of Addie Journals, and today I want to go through a couple of things that I'm doing with my planner, specifically my plotter, because I haven't really talked about it yet this year, and primarily a big reason for that is that I am still doing my morning journaling in my Stalogy from last year. I still have to finish quite a few pages, and I'm hoping that I will be done with that one by the end of January, so I can hop into this. But I did go ahead and start the planner and plotter journal really more than anything else in here. So I just kind of wanted to show you what I've been doing with this, even though I haven't been using this full time. One of the items that I started it with last year in Plotter was I did like a year's end challenge where I had all of these things and tasks that I wanted to get done and just kind of complete before the end of the year. And just in that 1 month period between the beginning of November and the beginning of December and the end of December and beginning of the new year. And so there's a lot of things that I actually did get done, surprisingly, when I put myself this challenge, and I noticed that, okay, if I do this challenge, maybe I need to do another one. And the reason that it kind of surprised me, this whole thing, was because I set myself a hard deadline of completing all of these 2 pages, basically, these 2 pages, by December 31st. And I was going to reward myself with some stickers and like a larger purchase of stickers, but I haven't done that yet. I might in the near future. And I was surprised at how methodical I was in getting all of this complete. So I decided that, because this really worked, and it's kind of like gamifying your life a little bit if you're into video games, I did myself a little winter quest list. I haven't gotten through that, but I still have a few months to do this. And then in the January section, I also created a 2025 New Year quest list where as you can see, it's the 3rd week of January, and most of these are finished. There's a few that I'm going to get to actually complete this out. And again, I don't have a lot more here than I did in the past because it's just a list of like small things that I really wanted to get started and get done before January ends. So in January tends to be a slower list of time. So I thought it was going to be a lot more that I had to do, but I'm finding that actually I do not have as much to do as I thought. And so yeah, this is just kind of my 2025 list. And I'm probably going to start this for like every quarter now going forward. And so I have a lot of other items here, like a F1 schedule, the teams and who the riders are, the drivers are, 2025 releases, and days off. And I also did a cleaning schedule that I didn't have before. So this is kind of what I have in my layout right now with this. And the only time I actually use this is to reference back to these quest lists and challenges that I've had. Just like once a week or even once a day, I come back to this and I take a look at that to see what it is that I can complete today. Maybe, I have more energy today to do something that maybe I haven't had the energy to do the other day. So that's primarily what I use this for. Now, this had gotten me doing a lot of thinking because I wanted to find a way of getting stuff done. So even though this is mostly going to be my morning journal, catch-all journal, I wanted to get stuff done. And I wanted to do more and get a lot of these items finished that I felt was something that I wanted to achieve this year. So one thing that I did last year was one of the last books that I read in 2024 was actually this book called The 12-Week Year. And in it, it has a lot of different tools for productivity that you can use. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit, because after reading this book and after doing these side quests, I decided I wanted to give this 12-week year a try. So I'm going to go over a bit about what are some premises that this book has, and then just dive into what I did doing my, basically my approach to journaling and planning instead of following exactly 100%. Well, I mean, not 100%, but they have a format that they are using that after looking at it, I realized it really wouldn't work for me, because it just is one by like a one format per week, whereas I'd rather see all of the items per week and all of the weeks in one go, so I can easily compare myself to the past week. So I will get to that in just a moment. Okay, so one of the premises, a couple of the items in the 12-week year that really stuck with me is they kind of break it. It is a productivity book for sure. And if you want to kind of simplify your productivity, it has a very unique way of thinking about it, in the sense that instead of thinking about goals that you can reach by the end of the year, you kind of cut them into quarters. And the reason that they talk about this is they talk about how in the end of the year is really where a lot of productivity happens. It's where we have a short deadline, or the deadline is actually looming upon us, and people are actually going to sit down and just get stuff done. And usually that's where you see like the highest jumps in revenue for companies, because they know they have to meet or miss those targets. What this group, or these two authors talk about, is then instead of having a yearly goal that you work toward and kind of in the middle of the year you forget about, you basically make a yearly goal every quarter. Now they call it a 12-week year, but 12 weeks, if you know that it's really just one quarter. And they say to do basically a hard deadline and treat that end of the quarter as the end of the year, to kind of get into that mentality of, okay, I have to hustle because it's the end of the year. That's when the performance is due. That's when we have to get the revenue and get the outcome of the year. And so in this, they have basically 3 principles. Accountability, meaning take ownership of everything that you do, and regardless of the circumstances. So if something happened and it didn't work out, you just want to first look at yourself instead of somebody else or blaming somebody else. The second principle is commitment. So you want to make a commitment. If you say you're going to do something, follow through with it. If you want to do something, follow through with it. And oftentimes they talk in the book about how if you say you're going to do something and then kind of come back or just drop off from that commitment, it kind of loses a trust between you and the other person. So oftentimes people will more than likely accept a no than you saying yes and overcommitting yourself, and then later on coming back and saying, I can't complete this, or just even ghosting them. And the third principle is that greatness is in the moment that you decide to do what is necessary to become great, not when you receive the medals or the awards or anything like that. Those are just the results of your decisions and the actions that you've taken after those decisions. So there's a lot that they go through, and again, this is not really that much different from some of the other productivity books that I've seen and the little that I've actually read on this topic. But one thing they do talk about that I've decided to start implementing is doing the strategic blocks and the breakout blocks, and there was another block, I forget what it's called, the buffer blocks. And basically these are blocks in your calendar where you do certain types of activities. This is part of your 12-week year where you set 2 to 3 goals and monitor them throughout the 12 weeks to see how far you are and how close you are to reaching those goals. So you, as part of those weeks, they want you to do, or they recommend doing like 3-hour strategic blocks where you basically get stuff done, and or at least the stuff that moves the needle towards your goals. Then you have the buffer blocks, which are the ones that you use for like the administrative tasks, right? Like reading the emails or just replying back to emails, setting up meetings. So like it shouldn't take more than 30 minutes in the morning and in the afternoon. And then they have the breakout blocks. So those are the ones where you take 3 hours of your workday and do something that you enjoy, right? And that's just meant to kind of reset you and give you some moment of clarity and moment of quietness to do something that you enjoy, that you love, and then come back to it feeling refreshed. They don't recommend when you start out to do all 3 blocks. At first they recommend only doing the buffer ones and the strategic ones. So what I've done is, I don't have this in here, but what I've done is actually added this to my Hobonichi. So what I did in the Hobonichi is in the weekly section, and I also put this into my work calendar, my personal calendar, and basically on Mondays I have a 2-hour block in the morning and then a 1-hour block in the afternoon, the strategic blocks, and this is where I do whatever I think needs to move the needle on my goals. And it's not all of the goals, it's some of the bigger goals that I have, and the other goals just not so much in terms of having a block. And it's honestly was an interesting enough concept for me. This whole book was an interesting enough concept for me that I wanted to try it to see how it works and kind of better understand it, because reading about it is wonderful, but trying those concepts, trying the premise of it, and actually committing 100% to this is one of the ways that you're going to figure out how it works. So I decided that this year I am going to basically work on several things, and I will show you what those are. So I decided in my plotter, which is kind of my catch-all again, to have one first week, 12-week year, and in it I'm talking about getting fit. That's obviously a goal that everybody, I feel like, does at the beginning of the year and then kind of falls off. But I wanted to actually commit to this to 12 weeks at least and work my way up. So there's 3 main elements of this that I thought would bring me closer, and that is going to the elliptical, drinking water, eating healthily. I do want to also reach some subscribers on YouTube, so that's another goal of mine. And then I wanted to find another job. So they recommend that you write out these 12-week year goals, and then at the end of the week they have like a page that you can use on their website, I guess, to do what's called a scorecard. So a recommendation of the book is that every Friday or Sunday, or at the end of the week basically, you sit down, you plan for the next week, But while you're planning for the next week, you score yourself, and you have to be very honest with yourself on how you did in that week. And then they have like a whole worksheet where you just put, oh, this is the goal. So they have like these sections on a PDF or a worksheet where you just basically go through the goals and score yourself. How many of the goals did you complete? What was the percentage? And so what I've done, because personally I don't like having a separate sheet per week. Like I feel like that's too much in terms of upkeep and then comparison. I do like to compare myself to the prior week and how I'm doing. So what I ended up doing is I created on the back of this, I created this kind of format, and I have the goals, the actionable steps on the left-hand side. I did a little separator here just to kind of give it a separation. And then all the weeks at the top in each grid. And then I marked all of them like with a check mark or kind of like a line. And then as I complete them, they'll become X's. And when I don't complete them, I can see, okay, I didn't do that one. And at the end of it, I'm just going to have a score. And hopefully by 12 weeks, your score should be rising as long as you're committed and taking the actionable steps and being accountable. So there's also kind of some questions that you can ask yourself when you're journaling or when you're doing this, and I do plan to look at it at some point, maybe at like the 3-week mark, the 4-week mark, look at these questions. And these questions come from a YouTuber, I forget his name. Basically, he read the book as well, and these are the kind of questions he had. So these are separate questions that I can just put into my morning journal as I am working through it. And so the idea of this would be that basically on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, I sit down with my planner and I go to the weekly section. I put in the strategic blocks, which I am currently using for job searches and other updates. And then the rest of the week, right now I have blank, but I will put in my meetings, and so on. And my goal is like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, or Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday actually, to do some of these items. And so as I do them, I take note of them in my dailies, throughout my dailies, and then at the end of the week, I can just flip through them and just check them off. And that's pretty much how I'm doing it, how I'm staying consistent. Now, my question really is going to be, is this going to be actually successful to getting me where I want to go? I'm not saying that I have to 100% meet all these goals. I would love to. But if at some point, for example, I don't know, like I don't reach this fitness goal, then if I'm getting close, if I'm feeling stronger, if I'm feeling better, then that's still a valid lag indicator. So another thing that they talk about is the lag and lead indicators, and that you need to be able to actually check them both and track them both. And so what they say is, in the book they talk about how the lag indicators are basically the goals you want to reach. So 1, 2, and 3, those would be lag indicators because they are happening after all the action. They're the result of all the action that you're putting into it. The other items within this, the goal, like the steps, the actionable steps, those are your lead indicators, and they're the actionable steps that you have to take in order to get this. And so that is pretty much how the system is laid out. You have the scorecard, you have these lag indicators and lead indicators, and the scorecard is letting you track them both. And as long as you're getting above 70% or even just a little slightly just below that, as long as you're on an upward trend, you are going to be reaching your goals for 2025, at least for the first quarter of 2025. Yeah, so I'm just gonna give this a try, see what happens, and then go from there and see where I'm at in 12 weeks when this is up. And I'm planning on tracking in this, and if I continue doing this journey, then I'm going to continue doing it in here, along with my quest, which are separate little goals that I want to reach, or just even to-do lists that I want to do and not forget to do, because unless I write it down, I am not going to be able to remember to do them. All right? But yeah, this is what I'm using my platter. Let me know if you guys have any questions below on the system, on the 12-week year. Again, I'm just trialing this out just to see how it goes, so you're more than welcome to follow along. Just hit subscribe below, and yeah, I'll have an update in a couple of weeks, maybe 4 weeks, or even at the beginning of February on how we are with this, with our final thoughts in 12 weeks at the 12th week mark. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.